and welcome to CNBC-TV18's Mumbai newsroom. I'm Ekta Batra and you're watching your stocks on CNBC-TV18. Well, it's turning out to be a session where there is definitely a lot of momentum on the upside. So it seems as though the markets have shrugged off any kind of concerns emerging from that Fed meet, which is taking place later this week. And not to mention that the RBI policy is scheduled for the end of this week as well. So end of this month rather. So it seems as though the street is concentrating more on India-specific stories and shrugging off any kind of global concerns at this point in time. We have a packed show today. In fact, we have Ruchit Jain, who's the lead researcher, joining in at 5paisa.com, and Astha Jain, who's a research analyst at Securities, who's going to be answering all of your stock queries. Astha is on the fundamentals and Ruchit is on the technicals. Afternoon, Astha. Well, we're just coming to you in a quick minute, but before we get to our first caller, Astha, I just wanted to ask you whether or not you have any view on Apollo Hospitals, considering the strong gains that we are seeing on that particular counter today.
Hi, Ekta. Good afternoon. Talking about Apollo Hospitals, I think in the hospital sector only, or in this space, this is the only company which is well placed, I think, and they have earmarked certain sort of expansions also. So if anyone go for any sort of investment in this space, I think Apollo Hospital is the best place, and we are really positive on this stock. Going ahead also, we are expecting incremental gains on this counter. So one can remain invested in the stock, and if one want to enter into it, then buying on dip strategy is advisable, because today itself the stock has shown strong momentum.
Okay, all right, definitely a lot of momentum coming in on Apollo Hospitals. Yesterday, in fact, it was Fortis which showed a lot of momentum as well. So maybe the healthcare space is garnering a lot of attention. But let's get to our first caller then. We have Mr. Mallikarjun Reddy, who calls in from Tirupati, and he has a question. He has investments in KPIT Technologies. Sir, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to, I've already invested in KPIT Technologies. I'm holding around 30 shares at average of 600 rupees. I would like to know whether should I add more or should I sell? What is the future of the stock? These all IT stocks are beaten down now. Is it right time to invest in this kind of stock like that?
Okay, and how long are you comfortable in terms of holding the stock?
2-3 years.
Okay, your horizon would be around 2 to 3 years. Astha, let's start with you. On a fundamental basis, we are discussing how the Fed could probably hike rates by another 75 to 100 basis points this week. The possibility of a US recession probably in the second half of this year going into next year. In that context, IT has been the most beaten sector this year. What is your sense? What would you advise Mr. Reddy on KPIT Tech?
So if I talk about this counter has one unique thing in itself. It is that it is basically a software integrator which is helping the global OEM. And we all know automotive industry is in really a good spot at this present moment of a time. And this has been reflected by the strong results which this counter has posted in their quarter gone by. In fact, the deal once was very strong. It was around $155 million. And they are basically into two verticals, which is the passenger vehicle as well as commercial vehicle. So all in all, I think due to this strong momentum in the automotive sector, this company will continue to benefit on the deal ones part also. So all in all, he can stay invested in the stock with the initial price target of somewhere around 650 and 690 odd levels. In the longer term of 2 years, the price can rise further from here, but the initial targets can be attributed at around 690 odd levels.
Okay, all right. Ruchit, what would your recommendation be on KPIT?
Yeah, hi, very good afternoon. Well, I think the concern is also related to the pharma space, and more or less I think the pharma space has been underperforming, because if you look at the global market, then it's not only in Indian market but even in the US or other global markets, the IT stocks have been underperforming there too. You look at the correction in the Nasdaq, then there has been underperformance in the Nasdaq compared to the other indices, benchmark indices in the US too. So I think until we see a turnaround or a bottoming out signs in the global markets, I think the IT would continue its relative underperformance in the short to medium term. But since he has a 3 years view perspective, I think he's into the right stocks within the mid cap IT space. because even if you look at recent corrective phase, then KPIT Technologies compared to other IT names have corrected much less. So it's already have been showing a relative outperformance compared to its peers. And once the IT space bottoms out, and next 2 to 3 years perspective, the rally starts, I think KPIT would be one of the relative outperformers within the mid-cap IT basket. And you can expect target somewhere around 720, 730. So I would advise not to exit the stock, continue to hold on its current levels. For fresh buying or more addition, I think the major support for the stock is around 520, 540 range. So maybe if we get declines around that 520 in the near future, then those would ideally be good levels to average out and add more positions over there.
Okay, all right. So you sound quite bullish on KPIT Technologies there with a target of over 700 rupees on the technicals. Mr. Reddy, I hope that answers your question. But let's get to another query then. Samiksha Purohit writes to us from Patna. She holds 35 shares of Aurobindo, which she's bought at 520 rupees. Current market price is 531, and 15 shares of Kotak Mahindra Bank, which she's bought at 1650. She's a long-term investor and wants to know if she should hold on to these stocks or sell at current levels. Ruchit, let's start with you. One from the banking space, one from the pharmaceutical space. Kotak, she's making a considerable amount at this point in time. What would you recommend? Hold, and what would your recommendations be on Aurobindo as well?
So my recommendation would be to hold on to both the stocks. First of all, let me start with Aurobindo Pharma, because I think pharma space somewhere has done with the worst of it, and I think going at the pharma space as a defensive would witness some buying interest from here. So already there has been a relative underperformance which is coming to an end. So I think even the Aurobindo Pharma has already seen some price-wise correction, and of course these are not the levels where you should look to exit. In fact, a pullback move again towards somewhere around its moving average resistance is around 600 could be expected in short to medium term. So hold on Aurobindo Pharma for a potential target around 600. And Kotak Mahindra Bank, the banking space has been doing good in this in last few months. So definitely the private sector banks have shown a good outperformance. Kotak Mahindra Bank, it's important for the stock to cross above that 2000 level, which would I think lead the stock towards 2350, 2400. So as of now, there's nothing negative, but just from a momentum perspective, she has to give some more time to the stock. And in case if she can continue to hold on for a year or year and a half, then she can expect good returns from Kotak Bank too. So my view would be to hold both the stocks.
Okay, hold both the stocks. Astha?
So talking about Aurobindo Pharma, the quarter gone by was not very much positive for this company. We have seen the margins were shrinking, but going ahead due to the increase in the volume, I think these margins will get back to its normal path. This is what we think about the Auro Pharma. Plus, I think their injectable business will start showing strong volume from FY24 onwards, because even the management has given the guidance of around $650 to 700 million from that part. So that will again be acting as a strong driver for the company going ahead. And in fact, the company has made the strong acquisitions. They have a very good pipeline, product pipeline. So all in all, I think the results were not very much positive in the quarter gone by. But if our time horizon is more than a year, then Auro Pharma is looking strong to us. However, at the initial level, we are expecting the target of around 600. Talking about Kotak Bank is looking very strong to me. And first of all, I want to give target of around 2100 to this counter. That too in the longer run, because the credit quality is very strong for this company. They have shown a strong growth in their credit also. So I think this bank is well placed. And in fact, going ahead also, this bank will continue to show strong top line, because we have seen this fall in the slippages of this bank, which is a very important parameter for any bank to analyze. Their AUM has shown the growth of around 10%. So all in all, Kotak Bank is also looking strong to me. Hold can be recommended for the stock, and the target price can be around 2100.
Okay, so a target of around 2100 on Kotak Mahindra Bank coming in on the fundamentals. Let's get to another query then. Kusuma Raju writes to us from Bangalore. She holds 500 shares of Vinati Organics. And it's an interesting query here. It was an IPO allotment at around 10 rupees per share. So she wants to know whether or not she should hold on for further gains or take some money off the table. Astha, what would you recommend?
So it is a very strong, return which this counter is generating. So first of all, congratulations on that part. Talking about Vinati Organics, I think one can maintain hold on the stock because we are positive from here also, because some of their specialty chemicals, especially the two products of this company, which is IBB and ATPS, they are the global. They have the global leadership with the strong market share of more than 70%, and their balance sheet is also in a very good shape. They have a strong ROE, ROCs ratios. In fact, going ahead, what will be the driver for this company is that viral additives. It will be starting contributing to the top line of the company going ahead. And even they have a plan to launch 5 niche specialty chemical from viral organics only. So I think all these factors will drive strong growth going ahead also. So all in all, I think hold can be a recommendation for the stock. If the person is not in a hurry to withdraw the money, then hold is the recommendation. Price target can be around 2300 to 2500.
Okay, definitely a very smart investment at this point. Have to attribute that. But Ruchit, what about you? What do you expect on the technicals of Vinati?
So I think yes, first of all, many congratulations for having so much patience and getting into the right stock. So the broader trend for the stock still remains positive. We could see some in-between corrections, but the way if I look at the price and the volume action, then the price up moves have been supported by good volumes, whereas in between corrections which are there, we are not witnessing any higher volume sell-off in these corrections. So I think the margin of safety is quite good. So until there is need of money, I think one should continue to ride this trend.
Okay, all right. So ride this trend. Let's get to another question then. AR Khan writes to us from Bangalore again, holds 200 shares that are now split to 1,000 shares of Schaeffler India, which he had initially bought for around 100 rupees. He's a long-term investor. Wants to know whether to hold on to it further or to exit at current levels, where there was a downgrade which came in on that particular counter earlier this week, just yesterday. But what would you recommend, Ruchit, on Schaeffler India?
The broader trend has not changed in spite of this last 2 days of sell-off. On the longer time frame chart, this just seemed to be some correction within an uptrend. So I think the trend still remains positive, but since the gains are quite good, and we have seen some good volumes in last couple of days selling, so at least partial profit booking here could be done. So on our entire position, 40 to 50% positions, on 40 to 50% of the shares, profit should be booked, and for rest of the positions, can continue to ride with a stop loss below 3,000.
Okay, all right. Stop loss below 3,000 for Schaeffler. The stock has given good returns in the past couple of months itself, but just want to point out what's taking place in the broader markets at this point. There's a lot of momentum which is in fact coming in a lot of these pharmaceutical and healthcare stocks. So another one would be Jubilant Pharmova. That stock has shot up around 12% at this point in time. Remember, it has been a rank underperformer, losing around 40% on a year-to-date basis. But today, it seems as though it is definitely a good day for Jubilant Pharmova. Even a couple of stocks such as Lupin, which is gaining, so that stock is up around 4.5%. And move over from pharmaceuticals, there's RBL Bank, which is doing well. So that stock too is up around 3.5%. Take a quick break, but we'll answer more queries on the other side. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Well, definitely a lively market on our hands. We've been pointing out that there are a lot of stocks which are on the upside, but there are a couple of stocks which are losing as well. So just watch out for a couple of these broader market stocks such as Big Money, Organics. That stock is down around 2%. And we have a couple of others such as CEAT, which in fact has seen an extremely strong run, is now coming under the selling hammer. So that stock is down around 1.7%. And Gland Pharma, where there have been continuous concerns about, maybe the liquidity at the holding company level of its promoter, that stock too is losing a little bit of ground. Gland Pharma is the one that I'm talking about. That stock is down in today's trading session. But we still have with us Ruchit Jain of 5paisa.com and Astha Jain of HEM Securities, who's joining in. They're joining in to answer all of your stock queries this afternoon. Well, let's get to the query then. Tarun Sharma writes to us from New Delhi. He holds 5 shares of Alkali Amines, which he's bought at 3291. And 300 shares of Bajaj Hindustan Sugar, which he's bought at 17.7, and 500 shares of Hathway Cable, which he's just about bought at around 23.15 rupees. He wants to know the future prospects of all of these investments that he's bought. Astha, it's 3 stocks. What would you recommend?
So first of all, talking about Alkyl Amine, I think he can hold this stock for the price target, for the initial price target of 3200 to 3400 odd level. The company has shown very strong results in the quarter gone by, and in fact in the coming future also they have set up certain aliphatic amine plant which will get commissioned by March 2023. So again it will be adding the in the top line of the company, and they have a certain new projects also for the solar plant, etc. So all in all, I think this company is looking strong to me, and he can hold the stock. Talking about Hathway Cable, again, I think hold can be attributed to this counter also with the initial price target of 21. If I talk about the Hathway Cable, in the last 2 years, they have set up extensive infrastructure in order to share the market gain, in order to share the, in order to increase their market gain. So it will be looking strong to me in the going future also. Apart from that, there are certain other positive with this company because they have set up 250 locations. They have connected 250 locations with the IP links. In fact, they have launched some new generation set-top boxes also. So all these things are looking good to me for this counter. So I'm recommending hold. For Bajaj Hindustan, the problem is with their results, which have they have posted the results were not at all enthusiastic. In fact, they have shown the losses. And in fact, going ahead also, I think in the future around FY24, they will be started showing some positive results. So all in all, for Bajaj Hindustan, I can recommend that if he wants to exit, then that will be a better strategy. And EID Perry can be bought in place of Bajaj Hindustan. So for all the 3 stock, for the 2, it's hold. But for the Bajaj Hindustan, exit is recommended at the higher levels.
Okay. And what would you recommend, Ruchit?
Well, I would recommend to hold one out of these 3, which is Alkyl Amines. The chart is quite positive because we are seeing price up move supported by good volume. So I think that the downside seems to be limited. So 2700 is a good support for the stock, positional support. So he can keep a stock below 2700 and continue to hold on. But both the other names technically are not looking much positive. Bajaj Hindustan within the sugar space has already seen a good underperformance in the recent rally. So I think here you can look to shift from Bajaj Hindustan to either EID Perry, as Astha mentioned, or Balrampur Chini amongst the large cap names from this sector. And even Hathway Cables, the price pullback moves have been there in between, but the stock is not yet able to cross its 200 DMA resistance from a long point of since last few months. So I think here also the upside seems to be limited. Any pullback move should be used as an opportunity to exit from Hathway as well.
Okay, all right, Ruchit, as well as Astha. Thanks very much for answering all of those queries. We do have an important update which is coming in from the European Medicines Agency, where biosimilar medicines approved in the European Union are now interchangeable. That means that if in case you do go to a chemist with your prescription of a particular biosimilar, then the chemist had to initially only give you that particular biosimilar on the prescription. So now the chemist can actually give you another biosimilar, which is basically just the equivalent of what is already written on the prescription. So that's an important update which is coming for Biocon, because remember, that now they don't really need a particular name of Biocon's biosimilar written on the prescription. It is up to the chemist in terms of also providing an equivalent, which could also be Biocon's biosimilar. So that stock is higher by around 1.5% reacting to this piece of news. But on that note, that's all the time that we have on the show as well. But do remember to email us all of your queries and we will address them with our experts. Stay tuned for Closing Bell up ahead.